Hi Aries, this is your April 2015 astrology prediction with me, Lada from astrolada.com, and this is for everyone who have their ascendant, sun or moon in Aries. I'm an Aries fellow as well. I have my sun, Venus, Mars, so many planets there. And what does April bring for us? My God, it's an interesting month. There is an eclipse first, eclipse that directly affects Aries. Eclipse is happening in our 7th house in Libra, and this is the beginning of April. So you might start feeling it from March already, because an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, is felt almost like a month before and sometimes a month after the exact day. But around the week of the eclipse becomes very intense. And this is a full eclipse. It's pretty powerful. What does it mean? It's happening in our relationship area. The eclipse is happening in the 7th house where Libra is, where relationships are affected. And in what way? Eclipses are always an indication of imminent change. And especially the lunar eclipse, this is when the moon is full. So something has matured enough. Something is matured enough that we can have a realization and we can have now an ability to let go of it, or to it escalates to such a level it's grown fully. It either, something has to give up, something has to break down, something has to change, because this is when the moon is fullest and it starts growing smaller after that. So something is coming to a completion, something is coming to a maturation and to a completion in regards to relationships. And let me explain a bit in depth what a lunar eclipse is. This is when the light of the moon is basically eclipsed by the shadow of the earth. So the moon is our emotions, our emotional attachments, our feelings, our dual mind. The moon symbolizes the dual mind, black and white, worries, happiness, fears, happiness, sadness, fears, courage. Everything which has duality is the moon. So this is the realm of our ego, of our emotions, of our feelings. The thing that torments us, to be honest, is symbolized by the moon, the mind. And the sun causes the eclipse of the moon. And the sun is the one consciousness. The moon is the double, dual consciousness. Everything is black or white, good or bad. The sun is singular consciousness, divine spirit. So for a moment, you have a unique opportunity to eclipse this divine, this two-split mind about what is good or bad or right or wrong, and to be eclipsed by a higher perspective from the single eye of the sun, because the sun takes over, the sun becomes, the sun hides the light of the moon. So your dual perspective, particularly in regards to some important relationships, whether it's business or personal, whether it's some negotiations, whether it's your marriage, whether it's a close relationship with someone else, you can get a higher perspective about it. You can get a sudden illumination, because this is what the sun does when it eclipses the mind. So it blocks your normal human mind and ego, and helps you see from the perspective of a single mind, of a divine mind. So you can have like a eureka moment, like an illumination moment, that something has to change in the relationships, and you can actually eclipse some emotional attachments. You can outgrow some emotional attachments in certain relationships that have been blocking you, that have been preventing you from development, that have been hurting you in some way. And it's painful. It can be a painful process because the ego, which is the moon, does not want to let go. And it happens in regards to relationships in particular, because the ego feels comfortable with how things are. But the sun eclipsing the moon wants to give you the higher perspective. And a lot of Aries will have illuminating moments, aha moments about, okay, I'm ready to let go now of this. Maybe not the whole relationship, but maybe certain aspect of the relationship, certain unhealthy attachments, unhealthy reactions in the relationship. So it might be generally in your relationships, how you react to people. It might be, or maybe someone can come from your past that you've always reacted like a crazy person around them, that always pressed your button. And all of a sudden you realize that you've outgrown this behavior, and this eclipse, this gives you this opportunity to outgrow this certain emotional reaction in relationships. or to other people. And sometimes on the mundane level, how it manifests is that sometimes you can break up a relationship, or you can move a relationship to the next level by all of a sudden no longer having a certain blockage that was always, certain fears or certain crazy behaviors like obsession or like jealousy or fear. Something you can detach from certain unhealthy emotional behaviors in relationships. And in the worst case scenario, it can be breaking away from a bad relationship, but these are fated breakaways. The universe wants to correct the direction of your fate this way. And this is like a karmic corrections. They're kind of fated. If you lose a relationship, if you get detached from someone emotionally, or if someone leaves emotionally, this is leaves you, and maybe because you are not fully ready, and the universe gave you a push and took away some person or a certain aspect from a relationship. Because this will be liberating from you. Honestly, this will take one burden away from your mind. That's why, for a moment, the universe allows your mind, your dual mind, with which you're trying to make decisions with your ego, to be eclipsed. So you take a decision from a higher level, or even the universe can take the decision from you if you don't have the courage yet and move things ahead. So this is what you can expect. And what takes precedence is the sun. The sun in Aries, in your own sign. The moon is in eclipse, so certain things come to maturation, to fruition in regards to relationships, to conclusion, or to completion. It might be a positive completion of something in regards to relationship, concluding some contract, it doesn't have to be breaking up a relationship in any way only. And the focus is as well, there's some transfiguration, transmutation happening in relationship, letting go of old painful memories, letting go of old painful behaviors and reactions there. And at the same time, empowering you, because the sun becomes more powerful, because the sun, basically, the light of the sun cannot fall on the moon. So it's kind of... this happens so you can balance more, you can get the power back to you, because it's happening in Aries, in your sign. So what happens in relationships, maybe from in March and the beginning of April, will be some kind of a release, even if it's kind of stressful and it hurts the ego, which doesn't want to let go of a certain aspect. It ultimately is liberating for you and gives you more freedom within yourself, because it's the first house. You get more empowered in a sense. And sudden realizations, this can happen through sudden realizations and detachments, because Uranus is involved in this eclipse. And the detachment, because Uranus gives like sudden cutting of the cords and sudden liberation. So there's a lot of this energy going on. And some people in particular will feel the eclipse very strongly. Those areas that are born from around the 1st to around, I would say, to around the 9th of April, and particularly those born around the 4th, 5th, 6th, where exactly the eclipse is happening. For them, it's an indication of big changes, something they have to leave behind, and it might be in regards because the eclipse is happening opposite their sun, if you're born around those days. So there is something that is completing this year in their life, that's coming to a full completion, that is... it's an indication that this year they'll complete something big in their life, a big phase will end, but it's for good, and it actually first will mature, so you can get great results in the year ahead, basically, because the eclipse is happening around your birthday. So you come into maturation of some sorts, and maturation and leaving behind outdated modes of emotional behavior. I had an eclipse on my birthday last year, and I can give you, for those of you born from around the 1st till the 9th, and especially 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, around those days, I can tell you what happened. I had the lunar eclipse on my birthday last year, and this year has been the next 12 months were amazingly transformational, in a sense that I outgrew so many outdated behaviors. My career got like a full completion, in a sense, like recognition as well, and I left behind so many. I just felt more mature. I'm feeling more mature, more free from emotional and psychological attachments that were with me for 20 years before that. So it can be very good, but it's indication of some change happening and unloading of something for you. It's not so much new beginnings that will be happening, but completions that you finally can put conclusion to. And realizations, sudden realizations you have this year, an awakening of, you know, how do I say, of more freedom within you. And if your moon is around those degrees, basically where the eclipse is happening, it's basically, it's Aries, you know, from around the 10th to around the, I'll say to around the 18th degree in Aries. If you have moon or ascendant, if you have the moon or ascendant, it's more focused again on relationship. You'll feel it in particular. Again, it shows us this now, maybe in March and April, is a period when you have sudden realizations that I talked about, that certain letting go of relationships, certain letting go of outdated modes of behavior, emotional attachments, changes in relationships, if it's your ascendant as well, which can empower you. Okay, enough of the eclipse. Let's see what else is happening. Very important thing as well is that, oops, let's open our diary here. Where is it? April. Okay, is that the sign of Leo is being very strongly triggered for everyone. Basically, it's a special trigger. It's an ancient rule. When Mercury and Jupiter trigger a sign with a certain aspect, and the Lord of this sign trigger it from with a certain aspect, I cannot explain to you, but it's an ancient rule. 3 planets have to trigger a sign. This sign starts giving positive results in your life. And for you, Leo is the 5th house, Aries. The 5th house of, so positive results, and things can happen for positive, with positive developments, with the fruition, with great stimulation in a positive way in regards to 5th house matters. For some of you it might be conception, because 5th house rules children. For some of you might be something, especially if your ascendant is in Aries, you feel it more strongly, to a lesser degree the sun or moon, something good happening in the life of your children. Or if you have, if you're involved in some kind of creative projects where you use your creative intelligence. Anyone who have their own business or is kind of self-employed has to use this creative intelligence, even if it's kind of a rational business, not so much creative. It's again because it's your baby, it's your creation. It becomes the realm of the 5th house of, you know, of your own personal creations. This can have, you can have more inspiration there. Things can be happening. They can be developing well. 5th house rules creative inspiration. So people, anyone who is in a creative field can just, things can start happening for them. They can get inspiration more. They can get more excitability in that area. They can get just things moving there. The juices flowing. And even if you're not a creative person, 5th house is the house of having fun. So, you know, Leo is being so strongly triggered for Aries. So it's something starts awakening in you. You can have fun. You can let your hair down. You start shining, being center of attention a bit more, Aries. You can be more, you know, 5th house is expressing your unique individuality in unique ways and not being afraid to let it shine like a kid does, like a child. A child can draw the ugliest picture and come and show it to you with pride, you know. Children don't have this hurt on their self-confidence while they're younger. And when our 5th house is triggered, we get a little bit of this connection to the divine child within that awakens and the inner child. So we're more willing to let out in front of others our true essence, so we can shine, we can make others laugh. The smallest way you can feel it is maybe you go to a party and you attract more attention and people laugh at your jokes more. You become more center stage person. Or another thing is that you have more fun, or you feel more like enjoying certain entertainments. 5th house things are like going to the cinema, to theater, to any kind of places which entertain your creative side, your childlike side, your fun side as well. And it's good. It's really good activation, you know. 5th house rules being inspired. 5th house rules feeling joyful, happy. 5th house is the house of spiritual techniques. So a lot of you might feel much more inspired to maybe do mantras, to do prayers, to spiritual practices in a sense. Because it gives you natural inspiration to feel more connected to joy. 5th house rules romance. Oh, let's not forget, it's flirting, it's romance. It's, you know, the biggest thing that tickles your confidence, which is the 5th house, and to feel good is when someone is paying you romantic attention. That's why fifth house rules romance, and it's the heart chakra. So your heart chakra opens up, and people can pay you more attention. I'm not saying that you're going to meet the love of your life, but with this eclipse in the seventh house, something important can happen in relationships, actually. So be prepared even for important relationships to happen. But there definitely can be more flirting, more openness for dates, a few more dates, attention from others. And let's not forget that also your sign is very strongly activated, Aries, this month. Very strongly supportive month, There might be some certain relationship issues, but they'll be liberating. And then you have this inspiration from the fifth house, this joy. And then the first house is time for new beginnings. The things that you begin now till the 20th of April, Aries, from the 20th of March to around the 20th of April, they will set the tone for the next 12 months. And every time when I have my birthday, I'm on the 14th of April, around this, the weeks before that and the next couple of weeks after that, it's just, I start bubbling with ideas. And I start little by little putting them on paper and writing them down. And it turns out that all those ideas that come to me, after that, I work for the next 12 months on them. This is the moment when God brings you the new beginnings, when God brings you new inspirations from above to what is good for you to do. So write them down, and if possible, take the steps to do it. So it's a great time for you to initiate new beginnings, Aries, but don't do it in the first week of April when the eclipse is, because the energy is a bit unsettled. So start it after the 7th, 8th of April. And you can have, when then all the eclipses are finished, don't do it in the last 20 days of March either, because it's also an eclipse time then. But start it after the second week of April, and you can be, things will start moving for you. And I think I mentioned a lot of things for you. I can speak for another hour, but I just don't have time to do that. I just outlined the important things for you. You get filled up with energy. You get filled up with excitement. Mercury is in your sign as well, Aries, till the 15th of April. So you feel more communicative. You can express ideas and thoughts in a more clear and articulate way. You have more communications around you. You can get down to business, be more organized, be more systematic. You can be more proactive and productive as well, with the sun being in your sign overall. So overall, it's a great month, except with the eclipse, which can create some tensions and which can create some, fears for some areas, because, it's letting go of old things and the ego doesn't want to. But ultimately, the result is liberating. Thank you, Aries.